I tried, guys. I really did try to come up with an intro for this video, but the actions of this certain individual are just so appalling. Words cannot even describe my disappointment. Let me just roll the clip.
Guys, I'm hearing something in my shower. I think I heard somebody break in.
Now, I know that you probably thought that was a pretty funny video, and at first I did too, but then I realized the broader implications of the video. You see, one thing I hadn't stopped to consider was the fact that, what if this isn't a joke? What if this cat had actually broken in to this man's house? Now, I know what you're thinking, but that's so retarded. It's just a funny video. Like, no. Hear me out. What I think's going on here is not a funny video skit in the slightest, but rather a desecration of US law. That's right. This cat is a criminal, and the case against him is quite damning. While there isn't much evidence to go on, if the man's statements in the video are anything to go off of, it is that this cat has obviously broken into this house with intent of doing something malicious, not 100% sure what, but something malicious indeed. In my eyes, this is just a classic case of burglary, but to what extent, well, let's find out. Now, in order to give a proper ruling of as to what laws this cat broke, we have to first figure out where he committed this crime. In my opinion, I believe that this crime took place somewhere in North America, but in order to figure out and narrow down the area, I'd have to do a little bit of detective work. I first attempted to visualize the surroundings, but the camera quality was so shit, I tried to look and my eyes kind of burned, so I instead tried to go for a more auditorial approach and try to listen to any audio cues that might give away some information. I ended up settling on the fact that the man's accent sounded a little bit Midwestern, which gave me the impression that he was probably somewhere located in America. So I cross-referenced his accent with all 50 states' accents, and I ended up coming up with a match from Wyoming. Now, it is not 100% confirmed, but I decided to do a little bit more detective work. Now, in America, there's actually a law known as the Stand Your Ground Law. The thing about this law is that it's only applicable in certain states, so I decided to open up a map and bada bang bada boom. The state of Wyoming doesn't have a law for stand your ground, meaning that if an intruder did enter someone's household, the resident of the household would not be able to use lethal force, meaning use of a firearm. The reason I decided to bring this up was because I found it quite strange how a man who believes his house is being robbed in America did not decide to bring a gun with him. Then I did some research and figured that it is probable that if he is residing in the United States of America, he would be in a state where the stand your ground law is not applicable. Now that we've narrowed down Wyoming to be the presumed state in which the crime occurred, we now can see that burglary is punishable by up to 10 years in prison, a fine up to $10,000, or both. Along with this, aggravated burglary is punishable by 5 to 25 years in prison, a fine of up to $50,000, or both. Knowing this information, we now have to consider, did the cat commit legitimate burglary? In order to show that burglary occurred, these 4 points must be proved beyond a reasonable doubt, with each having extremely solid evidence. Firstly, did the suspect enter a building or structure? Secondly, did the suspect enter the building or structure illegally or without permission? Thirdly, was there any degree of force used to enter the building or structure? And lastly, did they enter the building or structure with intent to commit a felony or theft? In the case of Mr. Mittens over here, we are able to prove 3 out of the 4 points with beyond any reasonable doubt. We are able to show that he is in fact in a building or a structure that he's not supposed to be in. We know that he has illegally entered the building due to the fact that the owner has no idea that he is here, and we also know that he did intend or used at one point force to enter the building, as the man states he heard somebody break in. However, it is very much unclear whether or not he intended to commit a felony. In fact, his actions are quite confusing because we have no idea what his motives were, and even if we did, quite possibly his motives were not to commit a felony at all, or maybe he just wanted to enjoy the bath. Therefore, despite our best efforts, this cat, in fact, is not guilty of committing burglary. However, while he did in fact not commit burglary, that does not mean that he did not commit any crimes. He did indeed enter a residence without the permission of the owner. Therefore, he has actually in fact committed a misdemeanor. So while Whiskers over here may not be spending the rest of his cat life in prison, misdemeanor burglary charges are up to 1 year in jail and less than $1,000 in fines. Along with this, any items that he broke during the burglarizing of the house, he would have to pay back in full to the rightful owner who originally owned said products. In conclusion, I'd say that Simba over here got off pretty scot-free considering the max charges for this type of crime. From the looks of things, it seems that all of his problems are behind him. That is unless he drops the soap in prison, which in that case, good luck buddy, you're gonna need it.